Grown adults attacking other grown adults for keeping bass, bro. That's not a good look on your part. All right, y'all, I've kind of hesitated on like sitting down and making this video. I know you guys see the title. I'm going to be speaking on a very controversial topic. All I can say is this is just my opinion. This is just what I believe. You guys will have your own opinions too. I'm all for debates in the comments as long as you keep it respectful. I don't tolerate any disrespect on this channel. But please feel free to argue with me, bro. You know what I'm saying? Just keep it respectful. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'm gonna just go ahead and get right into it, bro. So before I actually begin like getting into the topic, I'm going to give you guys a definition of what a bass is, and I'm referring to the black bass, not your true bass. There's two different things. So your black bass, they're actually in the sunfish family. They are not true bass. They are bass, but they're not true bass. It's completely different from your true bass. For example, right, your black bass, I'm gonna give you guys the big three, which is the largemouth, there's spotted, and then the smallmouth. And then your true bass are your stripers, your white bass, and I'm leaving out a couple others, but striped bass, sea bass, white bass, true bass. All right, completely different. Those bass are not in the same family. All right, I'm going to be talking about the black bass today in this video. I go on TikTok. TikTok has a big issue with it. Facebook also has a big issue with it. Instagram, not so much. YouTube kind of has a big issue with it. Facebook and TikTok are definitely the worst. I've opened up comments on like pond management posts. Man, people are ruthless, bro. That's why I've been kind of scared to talk about this particular topic. Just gonna try it out and see how it goes, man. This is just my opinion, by the way. If you agree, go ahead and let me know. If you disagree, let me know, man. So my very first reason as to why you should eat bass, I have catch and release and pond management. They're both kind of going along the same line, so I'm gonna make it into one. A lot of bass anglers will catch their fish, take a picture with it, and throw it back. I have done this multiple times. And you know what I'm saying, there's nothing wrong with that, but in some cases we could be doing a lot more harm than we could be doing any good. And I say that because there are plenty of lakes in my area that don't have too many big bass, and it could be the same for your area. And that's because a lot of us are catching and releasing the bass, and we're not taking out, you know, the small bass so that we give, you know what I'm saying, the other fish a chance to grow big. We all want that 10-pounder, bro. But you cannot get that 10-pounder if you have a whole bunch of tiny dink bass. That's just, it's not going to happen. All the fish in the water stunted. You know what I'm saying? They're all the same size. That's all you're going to catch. You're going to catch a whole bunch of small bass. It's good to, you know, have pond management. And it's good to keep, you can keep a couple bass. We have laws in place for a reason, bro. I honestly wish we had slot sizes, because I think for bass to be kept in Georgia, they have to be 12 inches. It's statewide, but there are certain areas, like certain water bodies, where that law doesn't apply. I think Lake Lanier, for largemouth and spotted, I think it's 14 inches. I could be wrong. I'm gonna go ahead and look it up and throw it in the video. But you know, some lakes have different size limits for the bass. I would low-key like to advocate for a slot size like 12 to 16 inches. That's a decent size eating bass to me. The bigger ones should be thrown back because those are our breeders. We need those to, you know what I'm saying, reproduce and give us more bass to catch. But yeah, man, if you keep finding small bass and that's all you're catching, take a few out, bro. Look at your laws. Make sure the bass you're keeping are within legal size, and make sure you're within limit. take them out, bro. You're not going to catch that 10-pounder if all you're catching is small 8-inch to 12-inch bass, bro. It's just not going to happen. My second reason, I have taste. This taste is number 2, bro. And I say that because personally, I've eaten largemouth and I've eaten spotted bass. All right, both have tasted amazing, bro. And I don't know if that's just because of the way I cooked them. I just thought they taste pretty good. I live in the South. A lot of people in the South eat bass. There's also the other half that prefers to do catch and release. It doesn't, like, a lot of people will say, especially online, they say it tastes awful. Chances are, one, they cooked it and it didn't come out well, or two, they never had the fish and they're just listening to what somebody else said. I know I got a video on my channel for certain of me doing a catch and cook with bass. I've eaten the bass. I've said it was good. Actually, one of my favorite recipes for bass, especially spotted bass, bro, lemon pepper fried, bro. I'll put y'all on, by the way. But the taste of the bass is going to vary, like, given on, like, where they live at. For example, like, if you catch a bass out of a muddy pond, like muddy runoff pond, it's probably not going to taste the best. I'm keeping it real with y'all. It's probably not going to taste the best. But if you catch a bass in like a big lake or like a big river where like water's constantly flowing, you get clear water, all that good stuff, bass is going to taste 10 times better. You can take your gamble and catch it out of like a lake, a small lake, or like a small pond. I'll say I've done it before. The taste wasn't as good as like a big lake or a river. But it wasn't as bad as like a small muddy runoff, you know what I'm saying, type deal. But it all depends on where you catch the fish from. I personally would eat it, and I would put bass in my top 5, like my top 5 favorite tasting fish. It's not a bad fish. If I had to compare it to something, it's definitely not better than crappie, unless it's a spotted bass, bro. Spotted bass, yo, for sure top 5, bro. But largemouth, it depends on where you catch the fish from. Like I've said, I've caught it out of, you know, different environments. I would prefer to eat largemouth bass if it came from a clear, you know, fishery, a clear water fishery, clean water fishery. It just doesn't taste bad. It's just, there are definitely other things to eat. But don't let that discourage you from trying to fish. Try it out. Simple recipe: butter in the pan, right? Season your fish on both sides. Cook it 5 minutes on both sides. Try it out. That's it. Don't listen to other people just because they say it's bad and you haven't tried it yourself. What? You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense. And then my third reason, it's coming from, like, I would say, the influence of other anglers. That's my third reason. I know for a lot of people in the US, we've kind of grown up with, like, bass are not meant to be eaten. You catch and release the bass. We've all heard, you know what I'm saying, we've all heard it before. I would say that is made by tournament anglers. I understand both sides, but like I said, it ties back into my first reason. If you're catching small bass, bro, take them out. Like, for example, our lakes have good sized bass. Lake Lanier, I don't fish that lake, but if you go on your boat and you get on a school of spotted bass, like, everybody, I know a couple anglers, each day you're like almost guaranteed to catch a 4 to 5 pound spotted bass versus like a whole lot of, you know, smaller spots. I can't give you guys the exact reason why that fishery is doing so well with the spotted bass, but they're doing something right. Alatuna is not as good as Lanier, but there's still good fish to be caught. There's still good spotted bass in there. Largemouth bass, Lake Seminole, our lakes in the south region of the state doing pretty good with the largemouth. It's just, you know what I'm saying, good management, bro. Those are lakes I also named are tournament lakes, especially like Lake Lanier. Seminole's a good tournament lake too. But I think the main point I'm trying to get to is bass has a label. It has a sports fish, game fish label. And I'm here to tell y'all right now, I know some people won't like what I'm about to say. Just because it has a label game fish or sports fish does not make it superior. All right. I'm from Louisiana, right? We have, I would say, our redfish and our speckled trout, and I could even reach and say flounder too. Those are considered game fish, sports fish, right? A lot of people out there, we will eat their speckled trout and the redfish within their slot sizes, right? Just because it's a game fish or a sports fish does not make it better or superior than other fish, and it's not a fish you worship. I think I don't even know if I want to reach that point, bro. But yeah, just because it has a title, even I could say, like, the definition of a game fish is, I believe, any fish. I mean, that's basically called for the sport. Like any fish, like salmon, trout, shark. People eat all three of the fish that I've listed. All right. It's sold in the stores. Salmon, trout sold in the stores. Tuna, big sports fish, sold in the stores. We eat that. So what's stopping anglers from eating bass? I never really understood that. It's not superior. All right. And then my last reason, this is kind of, not everyone will have this issue, but in my state and a few other states surrounding me, we have an issue, like a big issue with Alabama spotted bass. It's different from the regular spotted bass, the Kentucky strain. We should definitely be keeping those, because if you guys didn't know, my state of Georgia, we have 10 species of black bass. And I made a video at the beginning of the year going over all 10 of the species, not necessarily in detail, but I listed out the species. That fish has ruined and taken over a good bit of the native bass that we have, like their habitats taken over. For example, right, on the Chattahoochee, the original native species were the largemouth. We have shoal bass and the Chattahoochee red-eye bass, right? We still have shoal bass. We can still find them. Not as much as those boys are finding them out on the Flint River. Completely different. The Chattahoochee bass, I don't think there are many on the main river anymore. They've been pushed back into like smaller backwaters like the creeks and stuff. It's a very rare species. The Chattahoochee red-eye bass is a very rare species to catch. You can still catch them, it's just not going to be easy. You're going to come into a lot of hybrids between the Alabama bass and the Chattahoochee bass. The same could be said for the Altamaha red-eye bass. You're going to find a lot of hybrids between the Alabama bass and the Altamaha bass. They're just not, they've taken over, bruh. We should definitely be taking them out. I'm not sure if the law has changed on that. There shouldn't be any, this is just me speaking, this is just my opinion. I don't think there should be any size limit restrictions on that fish. Their native range is, in Georgia at least, there is a section of the state, like northwest Georgia, where they are native to. I believe that is the Coosa River drainage. In Alabama, they're native, obviously it's called Alabama bass, they're native over there. But where I live, Atlanta, they're not supposed to be here. Lake Lanier, they're not supposed to be there. Chattooga, not supposed to be there. Yeah, they've taken out the smallmouth bass. We have not too many spots I can name currently that have, you know, a decent population of smallmouth bass here in Georgia. I could say Blue Ridge. That's probably like the last area that has a catchable population of smallmouth. I can remember going, actually no, this was last year before I even started college. I went up to Blue Ridge and I was talking to a guy at the bait shop, a random bait shop up in the country. I was like, I'm looking for a smallmouth bass for my Georgia Bass Slam. He looked at me, man, he looked at me, he was like, yeah, you're not gonna find too many up here on Blue Ridge. And I don't know if he was telling the truth. I do believe him. There are a lot of Alabama bass in that lake that have taken over. So if I were to actually catch them, I would have to weed through a ton of spotted bass just to get to that smallmouth. He then redirected me and my father to Notley Lake. It's a lake in the middle of Blue Ridge and Chattooga. He said they were in there. I did some research. I don't think they were in there in good numbers. I'll have to try again. I think, no, you're most certainly going to have to weed through a ton of Alabama bass to find a smallmouth. But yeah, it's just, that's definitely a species of bass Georgia anglers need to be a little bit more harsh on, I will say. They are a lot more aggressive. That's why they've taken out and taken over a lot of things. It's just a fish we need to, you know what I'm saying, do less catch and release on, do more catch and cooks on, you dig? But yeah, man, those are my, I believe that was 4 reasons that I have as to why we should keep bass. And since we're on the topic of bass, I'm going to talk about the Bass Slam a little bit. It's not looking too good, y'all. I'm gonna just keep it real with y'all. It is August the 4th. I have until December 31st, right? I think I messed myself up. The bass I selected, the last 4, which are the Alabama spotted bass, the Coosa red-eye bass, the shoal bass, and the smallmouth bass, those are all fish that you can find in like creeks and rivers, right? Smallmouth, you can find them in the lake, but I'm just not going to take that route. It's too much to do. It's going to be difficult. I'm gonna try a creek. But all those fish, they live in flowing water, and with the weather, it's been insanely hot, so that takes off lakes are removed off the list. All right, all the spotted bass have moved off to their deeper brush piles in the lakes. I don't have a boat to access them. It's going to be tough, so I resorted to the creeks and the rivers, right? Okay, that's issue number 1. Issue number 2, it's been raining. I don't know if you guys can hear it. I do have my window open. The weather is amazing. It's cooled off. It's been in the 70s, low 60s. I'm happy. I got the window open. That's besides the point. It's been raining as well. So the creek, it comes up, and you know what I'm saying, that you may as well fish for catfish. It's something you can do. I just need to get on the bass. That's what I'm worried about. That's reason number 2, the rain. Reason number 3, the dam. Okay, I've never at all in a year experienced like the frequency at which they release water from out the dam. It seems like every time I go to the creek, and I don't know if it's just my luck, if I have bad luck, awful timing, they're just releasing water from the dam, and it brings up the river, it brings up the creeks. It's just, I don't know, y'all, it's just making it hard. I've been trying for the spotted bass. I've landed one in the previous video, I believe. He was 6.5 inches, a bit too short. You can have them at 8 inches because they are an invasive species in the area I'm fishing in. So they can, I believe they can be 8 inches. Shoal bass have to be 15, native species. 15 stay wide. It doesn't matter where you catch it. You got to be 15 to qualify. Smallmouth, I believe they have to be 12, and Coosa red-eye can be 8. I'm hoping I can pick up the pace. I know I keep saying that. After I get spotted and shoal, it'll be Coosa red-eye, and I do have a bit of faith. I was told in the fall, on the Etowah River, that they're in, you know, the area I want to fish. They're in large numbers there. I will be going back. Smallmouth, I'm going to have to work some out, bruh. If the smallmouth doesn't work out, I'll try for Ultima Hall bass. That is the next closest species to me. Versus having to travel up to North Georgia for smallmouth bass and probably not even seeing one. I could try for Ultima Hall red-eye bass, and all I have to do is go to the Yellow River. 30-45 minutes, I should be able to find them if I weed through the spotted bass. They do have shoal bass down there too. They're not supposed to be in there, but that's the plan, bro. Like I said, I hope you guys keep it respectful in the comments. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys like, share, comment, and subscribe. Next video, I've got no clue. what the next video will be. But I've been keeping my word, you know what I'm saying? Videos every 2 weeks. I hope you guys enjoyed the Florida series, the Florida saltwater series. I'm recording this. You guys will see this way after all those videos come out. But you guys should be getting this one, if not at the end of this month in September. That's all I got to say, man. I will see you guys in the next video. Hopefully we pick up the pace on the Bass Slam. That's all I got, man.